Welcome to the session on Secrets of Cybersecurity. Thank you very much to our partners at Gigamon for helping us make this happen today. Joining us over the next hour is Pak Anton Setiawan, Director of the Digital Economic Protection Bureau at BSSN, Indonesia Cybersecurity Agency. And then we have Pak Setiaji, Head of ICT at West Java Province. We'll hear from Vladimir Yordanov, Senior Director of Solution Engineering at Gigamon, and of course, Natalie Black, Her Majesty's Trade Commissioner to Asia Pacific from the UK government. Just a reminder that we will be putting your questions to the speakers as well, so just write them in the Q&A box below your screen for me to be able to see them. I'm really excited to welcome our first speaker, will be sharing on collaboration in strengthening cybersecurity. Welcome, Pak Anton.
Okay, then thank you very much for the opportunity given by GovInsider and West Java Provincial Government to speak in this forum. The presentation that I will bring is titled Collaboration in Strengthening Cybersecurity. Ladies and gentlemen, referring to the report that has been published last year by World Economic Forum related to the top 5 global risks, we can see together that 2 out of 5 global risks are derived from the use of communication and information technology. As they say in the 4th, this is data fraud and theft, and the 5 is about the cyber attack. Based on the monitoring carried out by BSSN, we also can see the top 5 dangerous activities, especially during the pandemic COVID-19, as follows. The first one is Trojan activity. As we know, Trojan is a type of malware that is often disguised as legitimate software. It can be employed by cyber thief and a hacker trying to gain access to user system. And the second one is information gathering, the act of gathering different kind of information against the targeted victim or system. And this is very high in this season. We can see a lot of spear email phishing. And the third one is exploit kit. This is a utility program that attackers use to launch exploit against vulnerable program. And the fourth is web application attack, cyber attack against web-based application. And the 5 is policy violation. This is about access to the illegal website. Next. The role of BSSN in maintaining national cybersecurity is certainly inseparable from the national direction and objective as stipulated in our constitution and also in President Jokowi government program named Nawacita. There are 5 pillars that the focus of BSSN to ensure the achievement of national security and promote economic growth. The 5 pillars, as we see in the diagram, carry out with the aim of developing good governance and protecting citizens. The first one is human resource development. The second, technological independence. Third, standard regulation and compliance. And fourth, national synergy and collaboration. We will discuss about this. And the 5 is readiness and resilience. Next. BSSN have made 8 collaborative action initiative involving various elements of stakeholders, ranging from central to local government agencies, academic, industry, society, both at national and global level. The initiative as follows, if we can say. The first one, this is according to the NIST process business. The first one is monitoring. This initiative illustrates how BSSN cooperate with the telecommunication industry to supervise internet traffic in Indonesia. The second one is information sharing. This initiative illustrates how BSSN collaborate with various government and private organization to share information about the vulnerabilities and the threat of cyber attack that are happening. This is BSSN have a National Security Operation Center. The third is regulation and policy. This initiative illustrates how BSSN collaborate with various ministries to develop cybersecurity regulation and policy. One of this is the draft of cybersecurity law, now processing in our House Representative, but unfortunately, it will be processed in the next year at 2021. And the fourth, capacity building and culture. This initiative illustrates how BSSN collaborate with various academic entities and communities to build cybersecurity capabilities, both in terms of research and human resource development, including building culture of cybersecurity. The fifth initiative is about cybercrime, how to handle cybercrime. This initiative illustrates how BSSN collaborate with the law enforcement official, with the law enforcement entity to deal with a variety of cybercrime that we all know increasingly prevalent lately. And the sixth is readiness. This initiative illustrates how BSSN collaborate with the central and regional government to ensure readiness in dealing with the cyber incident. The seventh is cyber defense. This initiative illustrates how BSSN collaborate with the state defense institution to ensure that national interests in cyberspace can be protected properly. And the last one is international cooperation, of course. This initiative illustrates how BSSN collaborate with various international institutions, also with the other state or the other country to ensure that our national interests in international relation can be harmony with the interests of nation of the world. So this is about how we fight and how we compromise with our interest to the international relation. All parties can take part in the AIDS initiative, this AIDS initiative, according to their respective authorities, capabilities, and interests, of course. There are a number of initiatives also, which later became the National Medium-Term Development Program 2020-2024. The first one is development of a national early detection system through the development of the National Cyber Operation Center, as well as the development of the ability to deal with the cyber incident through the development of national CSIRT and also the other CSIRT at the central and regional government level. So these two of them, the two of the initiative already put in the National Medium-Term Development Program. And also, BSSN together with all stakeholders also develop a national occupational map and compile Indonesia National Work Competency Standard, SKKNI, As we know, in Indonesia, this is standard for the workforce in cybersecurity. This is a national strategy in the field of human resource development in the field of cybersecurity. Okay, cyberspace, I think, is formed and run by various parties with various interests, with rules that are compiled and adhered of collectively. For duration, we need to emphasize that the task of protecting national cyberspace will succeed if there is a synergy and collaboration from all parties involved. BSSN in accordance with presidential mandate number 53 and 133 of 2017 is responsible to ensuring that this synergy and collaboration can be realized. That's all from me. Thank you. We can later with the discussion with all of you. Thank you. We come back to Meda.
Thank you so much, Pak Anton. That was fascinating. And now we're turning to Pak Satyaji from the West Java government, who'll be sharing about the province's cutting-edge innovations. Take it away, Pak.
Okay, thank you, Meda, and good afternoon, all participants, and also the delegate. Okay, I will share my presentation. I will talk about our cutting edge apps, picobars. Yeah. And first, I will explain about our province. Yeah, this is actually the West Java province is the biggest province in terms of the populations. We have around 48 million people, and more of our people live also in the villages. We have around 5,000 villages. And with the COVID-19 itself, until now, we have the case around 3,700. And actually, this is more decreasing now, but we still need to anticipate the second wave here. Because of that, we still make like some restriction, especially for the school and etc. And for the COVID-19, what we face is we need to also using the technology to attack also to manage our COVID, and also we need to inform and publish the data and also the information for the publics. Because of that, we set up, we declare the picobars. We use the command centers as our monitoring rooms and our operational to picobars. And also we launched the applications, picobars, the apps, 5 days until the 5 days from the COVID-19 is occurred in Indonesia. Picobar apps actually, this is a platform. We also built in this platform in open source, and more than 38 applications were developed by our teams, Jabar Digital Services, and collaboration with other parties. Yeah, this is some of our features, not only for the registers, the rapid tests, also the case data, logistic and social safety net information, and also for complaints. And the last is the tracking also. We have the application for the contact tracing. And Picobar until now already downloaded more than 700,000 for the Androids, and every day more than 50,000 use these apps. And we have also, we call this massive tap for QR code. We introduced this from when the COVID-19 disease began. to avoid, because many people rush to the hospital. Because of that, we provide some application for the self-diagnosis, and also the register for the rapid test. And we provide the QR code for the secure informations, and also only the people have this QR code can use this for test. And we also open this data. This is very important thing to not only to open, but also to make it secure. We actually in our infrastructures, we separate our databases for public and also private. We use some infrastructure for cloud. We use the hybrid infrastructures for cloud and also on premises. So we divide this where the data for the public and where data for the private. And we also together with not only with the BSSN, but also for the community. Thanks for the community, Ngesek ID and also Cyber Army for the Bandung, for Banti Bugs. So before we deploy these applications, the community and BSSN did a pen test to make sure our application is secure. Not only secure for the application, but also our infrastructures. For the infrastructure itself, we provide the security from the 7 layers in the cloud and also in our on-premises. We, with our teams, with the security divisions, to make sure the applications is safe and not have like data scraping, etc. And for privacy itself, we also did like some ask permissions, yeah, for not only for API. We also provide this data using the API, and also some data can download it in Excel. But we still did like privacy, so we not provide the private data in the open, but we open only some aggregate level. And the data collected from the app only be accessed by limited teams. And we also did like a strict control from the mechanism. And this Cominfo is our divisions continue also develop like government electronic-based systems, and also monitors the security. Alhamdulillah, until now there is no some big major attacks to our systems. We have like SOC. We with the BSSN together monitors our systems and also our applications. And for the other thing, for the security, we develop also online registration system and QR code, as I mentioned before, to make sure the people's invited by us and not and avoid some people's not have invitations. Also, we built some application we call the Sapa Warga. This is Sapa Warga for social aid verification process. We delivered last year around 48,000 smartphones and used by community leaders. With these applications, the community leaders can verify the peoples to get the social safety net. And this is the last presentations. Thank you, Meda.
Fantastic. And now it's a pleasure to introduce our partners at Gigamon. We're hearing from Vladimir Yordanov on building speed and security for public service delivery.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you very much. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to present. I'm going to discuss 2 points today. One of them will be about the latest cybersecurity threats and COVID-19 impact. And then we're going to briefly touch on ICT transformation and the approach to cyber resilience, which is pretty much very much aligned with what Anton and Mr. Sitiaji talked about it. So what we see here is the latest attack that has been observed over the last couple of months. Ransomware, phishing attacks, business email compromise. A lot of the attacks are encrypted, password-based cyber attacks, DDoS, and so on and so forth. These attacks are not new. They have been around for quite some time. What is different this time is the resilience. And there's a number of sites and statistics available out there that serve as an example of how COVID-19 and the fact that people are now working from home has impacted the cyber attack surface and the intensity that we're seeing. And those numbers are quite impressive. Some of them, like phishing, for example, has been up 600%. 71% of the cybersecurity professionals reported increased security threats since the COVID-19. And another one is that as of May 2nd, for example, the FBI reported a 300% increase in reported cyber crime. And this is just an example of the numbers that serve as evidence that cyber criminals are not sleeping. They're opportunistic, and they always will take an advantage and opportunity when the opportunity present themselves. And what really has changed is that when the people have moved to work from home, there are several things that have happened. First of all, when you work from home, you don't have the might of the protection of your corporate firewalls. You're outside of your corporate firewalls, and traditionally, the defenses that you have available to you are not available at your home environment. The second factor is that it almost automatically assumed that people are expert in cybersecurity attacks, and they can understand when they have been compromised or where they have been under attack. But that is not the case. Majority of the people, if they're compromised, they don't know that this is the case until it's too late. Another factor is that the IT and corporate environment, they do not have a control over remote home and remote desktop environments. Even if you have been issued a corporate laptop, there's no way to guarantee that when you work from home, you're using your asset as it is assigned to you. Now, and all those factors combined together have been contributing to the increased attack surface. So COVID-19 also presented quite a few opportunities itself. And the next couple of minutes, I'm gonna discuss with you what are the cybersecurity transformation trends that we see out there. So the first one is about speed. Network will get faster. And right now, 100 gigabit is not unheard of. And we have been working on a project that customers, we have to, like the company, Gigamon, has been working on a terabyte project, terabyte per second traffic that has to be processed. And those things are not uncommon nowadays. We continue to see more and more organizations with faster speeds. So why this is important? And here's the case. In 100 gigabit per second, in a standard Ethernet packet, from the end of one packet until to the beginning of another one, that is 6.7 nanoseconds. This is 6.7 billion of the second. So the billionth of a second. So that is about 27 machine cycles. So within 27 CPU cycles, the system has to open the package, decide what to do with it, read it. What is it? Is it suspicious? Is it not? And then make a decision what to do with it. Should it forward it? Should it block it? Or should it send it to additional system for processing? And this is just in 6.7 of a nanosecond. And as the network grows faster, we have to choose between how fast we can go and how intelligent we can be. Because the way the attacks are successful today is not so much about breaking down your firewall. Firewalls actually are quite strong. What is it really happening is that they're looking into gaps of security, gaps of your defenses that would allow the attacks to sneak through. And that's all it takes. Attackers needs to be right only once. Our defenses needs to be right 100% of the time. And that problem is going to get only worse. Networks will continue to grow faster and faster, especially with the deployment of 5G and next generation communication technology. And what really we have to focus on is to close the gap between the speed and the intelligence. Now, the next one is about the security. So security is, let me speed up. So security, what we see right now is that the traditional focus has been predominantly on prevention, but right now we see a lot of people focusing on detection, prediction, containment, and recovery. And this is what Anton and Setiaji talked about it. The approach that Indonesian government has taken is rotating exactly around those activities. And the way this is different now, by the way, this chain of attack is not really new. It's been around for actually quite some time. But what is different nowadays is that across each of those stages from 1 to 6, they fully developed supply chain of malicious actors that can offer you those services. So if you really want to hire a hacker, you can go on the dark web and you can find quite skillful individuals that can help malicious people with a malicious intent to accomplish their objectives. The other thing is that this thing is nowadays is happening very slow. A good attacks do not get detected, or they get detected when already the damage has been done. At the moment, the gap within the defenses has been identified. The hackers they take their time. They're moving very carefully so that they do not trigger the defenses and they do not get detected. The same thing. Data gathering and extraction of the data, all those things happen paced, calculatively, so that the attack goes under the radar. And from point 1 to point 6, that time actually could take weeks, months, or even up to a year. The longest attack that I know about it has been going on for years until finally got detected. And here, what organizations really need to focus is on resilience. You will get compromised one way or another. Please remember that on packet level, we have to work with, we have 6.7 billion of a second to decide what to do with that packet. Attack will slip through. What is really important is that organizations build resilience within the systems, so that even if we're compromised, we can deal with it. We can detect it, we can contain it, we can isolate it, we can evict the attackers, and we can recover from it. So that is what organizations should be focusing moving forward. Now, what can we do? What can be done? And this is the traditional deployment of a system with a number of security systems and tools that can help us in cybersecurity: WAF, SIEM, IPS, IDS, data loss prevention systems, DDoS, ATP defenses, to name a few. Now, the challenge is that as the data get more and more, this kind of deployment, it is becoming very difficult. Network is the single source of truth. Everything what is happening on the network has a digital signature. And visibility and having access to the data, what's happening on the network, at the right data at the right time is critically important. So the solution that we should be looking for is having a set of, a visibility solution, a visibility fabric that sits between your systems, between your network and your security systems, prevention, detection, monitoring, alert, and delivers the intelligence either within the physical or virtual environment, whether it's going to be inline bypass or where it's going to be one-arm deployment. Also the ability to have one point of decryption so that you can have visibility within the encrypted attacks, working with application, metadata, threat detection and preventions. That is what we see as a future of the security moving forward. And thank you very much. That is my last slide.
That was insightful. And now introducing Natalie Black, who will be sharing about cyber and the economy, the UK perspective.
Thank you very much. And it really is my pleasure to join all of you today. Thank you for a really innovative event from GovInsider at a challenging time. So today I'm going to keep it quite simple. I'm not going to have any slides, but I've been asked to talk about cyber and the economy, and particularly the relationship between UK and Indonesia. I mean, Indonesia is a key partner for the UK in cybersecurity, and indeed across technology and innovation generally. In many ways, Indonesia has led the region and indeed the world on adopting technology, and Pak Anton and Pak Satyajee has really shown how that is already happening, particularly in this region. It's worth remembering that Indonesia has the 4th largest growth in internet users in the world, and it has a digital economy that will be worth nearly $100 billion in 2025, which will be almost half of the Southeast Asia estimated value of $250 billion. And McKinsey suggests that by further embracing digital technology, Indonesia can increase its economic growth by $150 billion or 10% of its GDP by 2025. So when you have a growing digital economy, inevitably, the demand for cybersecurity services increases as well. This is not a new phenomenon. A couple of years ago, in 2018, PwC polled 43 banks in Indonesia and asked them what were their biggest concerns. And cybersecurity was absolutely at the top of the list, particularly as a consequence of the rise of digital transactions. And in my role, I'm responsible for UK trade and investment across the whole of Asia Pacific, and with a particular emphasis on ASEAN. And when I look around the region, we are seeing an uptake in cybersecurity incidents. It's now reported that there's Asia Pacific companies receive 6 cyber threats every minute. And a study commissioned by Microsoft revealed that the potential economic loss across Asia Pacific due to cybersecurity incidents could be as much as $2 trillion US. So this is the economic context at the moment from a cybersecurity point of view, in terms of immense opportunity because of everything that digital and technology can do for the economy and for communities. But in parallel, we know that that can also bring cybersecurity challenges which have real economic impact. As we've heard from Vladimir, with COVID-19, businesses and organizations all over the world have seen a greater use of online tools. And of course, us ourselves here sat using video conferencing, we're seeing a greater adoption of technology. But that also brings significant challenges. And again, even in this period, when we've seen a spike in cyber incidents globally as cyber criminals and hostile actors seek to exploit new vulnerabilities. And as a consequence, research analysts have reported that attacks on financial institutions have increased by 238% from the beginning of February to the end of April this year. This is around the world, while we've seen a 667% increase in phishing attacks from February to May. So this really makes the argument for why we need to be doubling down on our efforts to improve collective cybersecurity. And the UK and Indonesia has a long-established partnership, which was set out particularly in terms of a step change in collaboration in 2018 through a new MOU. And this was followed up with a visit by our cybersecurity ambassador, Henry Pearson, last year. As we look forward to the opportunities and challenges of COVID-19, we want to ensure that we're supporting the Making Indonesia 4.0 plan and identifying new programs and opportunities to collaborate together. From the UK's point of view, from our experience so far, we appreciate and totally understand that it's necessary to have global collaboration on cybersecurity if you want to really make a difference and have an impact. And we're committed to ensuring that the digital economy around the world is secure and trusted. In 2016, we launched our second national cybersecurity strategy, and that really focused on defending people, businesses, and assets, identifying opportunities to deter and disrupt adversaries, whether that be states, criminals, or hacktivists, and really developing critical capabilities, particularly in the areas of skills and supporting growth. And so as part of this, we continue to invest in a suite of ambitious initiatives to create a cyber ecosystem and give cybersecurity companies the support that they need to operate around the world. We've launched 2 cyber innovation centres in the UK, one of which is particularly focused on SMEs, which is really trying to help them accelerate their growth, find new partnerships, and they are very interested in finding partnerships in this part of the world. We've also launched a cyber accelerator program, which drives innovation for new companies and gives them access to a new innovation fund. And we use that accelerator to help validate technology and test technology to help other companies become early adopters of new initiatives. As a result, over the last 4 years, we've seen a total investment in UK cybersecurity exceeding nearly over $1.5 billion. And I think that demonstrates the confidence and strength of the industry, but it's also down to our approach to embrace pro-innovation regulation and a research and business-friendly environment. We've also doubled down our efforts on academic excellence, and through that identified 19 universities that are now received the badge of Academic Centres of Excellence in Cyber, and created over 30 MScs, so these are master courses in cybersecurity. So that gives you a little bit of a taste of what we've been doing in the UK, but to re-emphasize, we're very aware that cybersecurity is not a solution that can be solved by one single nation. And as we see the immense opportunity in technology and innovation, it does bring its challenges. And that's why partnerships like the one we have between the UK and Indonesia is so important. And we will continue to look for new opportunities to collaborate, whether that's supporting SMEs, whether that's developing new skills amongst our young people, or whether that's sharing information and best practice so we can both learn from each other. So as that relationship continues to grow from strength to strength, I just wanted to end by saying another big thank you to GovInsider for bringing us all together and for providing this opportunity to learn from each other. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Natalie. That was hugely insightful. We're going to have a panel session now. So can we have all of our speakers back on the screen, please? Thank you so much, everyone. Pak Setioji, if we could just start with you. When you're building cutting-edge systems like PicoBar, how do you keep that data secure?
Yeah, actually, when we built this, when the COVID-19 case around March. Yeah, we with our Java Digital Services teams built this, and before we deploy these applications to our productions, we ask our community from this is what hackers community from Jogja and also from Bandung to test this. We did like a pen test, so we get some weakness for our applications, and then after we fix these applications to patch our holes, and then we deploy in our productions, and then we put in this in our cloud. Actually, our cloud have some tools for the security. Not only actually this is from 7 layers for the security, not only the infrastructures, the networks, and also our servers. And we also have teams. We have a T-shirt team, security for the incident response. We with the BSSN did like a monitors for the applications. So if any attacks, we can get some notice or alerts or early warning system coming from our tools. Yeah, this is what keep our data to secure. And we also separate the data from publics and the data from the privates into our databases.
And what about privacy? How are you ensuring users' privacy as well?
For privacy in open data, yeah, we actually we publish only the aggregate levels, not the detail levels. And for the safety net data, for the domination, etc., we only provide some data, and we give some mask or some not published too clearly. For example, we only provide 3 texts, yeah, in the front, or 3 texts on the last, yeah. For example, for the identity numbers, yeah, we not info the full of the numbers, just 3 or 5 numbers in front and also in the end of these numbers.
Thank you. And Vlad, if we could just go to you to understand what risks has COVID-19 created?
Okay, right, sorry about it. So there's several risks that COVID-19 brought up, and I touched a little bit on them during my presentations. One of them is the increased traffic from remote sites. And that create a lot of privacy and security issues. So for example, when you work at home, your environment is not as secure as it is in your office. You're outside of the corporate firewalls. You may use different device that is not up to the security standard for your organization, and also the skills of the people that are going to use these devices. They're not really cybersecurity experts, and they may not be aware of behaviors and indicators of compromisations. So that is one of the major trends. And when we have several events throughout the regions, this is one of the major concerns that was brought up by the organizations. How do we secure remote desktop environments? The other attack that we see is phishing attacks, already was mentioned. But what we have seen also is fake sites that looks like absolutely legitimate to the almost one-to-one, like a legitimate site. However, at the moment you enter your information, they're thinking that you're donating for COVID-19 reliefs or for other charitable initiatives. Your information is compromised, and your money goes somewhere else. Another type of security vulnerabilities that we have seen is the way the networks have been used. As we communicate more over the networks, attackers take this opportunity to hijack the sessions and insert malicious payloads. And this is very sophisticated attacks that are not so easy to do. But however, the success, the damage that can happen from this type of attacks is extremely dangerous. I just want to touch a little bit on the privacy, and I'm very glad to see that the Indonesian government is taking privacy very seriously, because we know that some of the service solution providers, their privacy standards were not up to global standards. I don't want to mention any names, but some companies that were providing online services, they were caught that during the building of the system and the way the functionality was delivered, there were certain shortcuts, and every company makes these mistakes. The issue is how we deal with it. And what we really need to remember is that as we collect the data from our users, we have to collect data. You know, like for our day-to-day purposes, we need data to operate. But this data must have an intent, must have a purpose. There must be consent from the user. User has to be aware that this data has been collected, and the user must have the right to withdraw or to ask to be deleted. Very similar to what I think that Europe with GDPR, they really led the way with how data privacy should be addressed. And I always use GDPR as an example for one of the leading standards for privacy and security when it comes to data.
Absolutely. And I'd love to hear from Pak Anton as well about what you feel are the biggest risks that COVID-19 has created in cybersecurity.
Yeah, thank you, Medja. The COVID-19 pandemic caused increased threat in cybersecurity. We already know about this. On the other side, the government, in this case BSSN, seek to improve cybersecurity through the implementation of comprehensive information security management system. We already have a standard. Yeah, it's called Comprehensive Information Security Management System. We encourage the application of this to all of the government and non-government institution to apply this standard, and we encourage this through the assistance to the assistant program, with the course, with the mentoring and auditing the system. So we provide the support that every organization can apply, can compliance with this standard. And also in this situation, I think the biggest challenge in the field of cybersecurity for the Indonesian people actually is how to build a good cybersecurity culture and apply it in all aspects. This is something that BSSN working for this, how this culture could be a factor in the decision making, how this culture can accept it and understood comprehensively, and not concerned only for the information technology personnel, but for the entire of the organization. So building this culture of cybersecurity is one of the major change that BSSN want to achieve. Thank you.
Absolutely. That will be absolutely critical for Indonesia and for countries across the region, in fact. Natalie, the world is increasingly unsettled and unsafe. What does that mean for the security of government systems from your perspective?
Thanks, Medha. I think I would also say that alongside those challenges, expectations of government systems are increasing dramatically. So citizens expect to interact with their governments online, whether that's through app, whether that's through web services. And the challenge is making sure that all of that functionality has security designed in from the beginning, and it's not an afterthought. I think the debate on this is moving ahead, and that is more the expectation and the status quo now. But the challenge is, particularly when you're in a crisis, as we all are now, that we're all moving at pace and we're all developing new government systems as quickly as possible. So how do you make sure that we don't forget that security needs to be designed in from the beginning? And I think that's one issue that all governments around the world are trying to tackle.
Vlad, I could see you nodding to Natalie as she talked about the importance of designing security into these services. What are some of the opportunities in cybersecurity?
Yep. Yeah, I was nodding because as a vendor, I work for a manufacturer, and that is what we have to consider. Security must be right now. You know, everybody talks about security by design, but there's certain set of vendors that are actually taking security by concept. But by the time you conceive the product or solution as a services on a conceptual level, you have to consider the security. And it's not just about it is not just about you know, the nuts and the bolts and the functionalities and the features that you have to put in it, but you also have to consider the legislations, right? Legislations will change. There will be new standards to be compliant with. There will be new requirements. That's what the government has been working very hard to ensure that there's a certain set of legislations protections. So on a conceptual level, you really have to consider cybersecurity before you, when you go to the design, into design level. By the time the product is about to be released, and if you see that there's some security vulnerabilities, then it's too late. Now, Natalie mentioned that users. Natalie, you're absolutely right. That's what users are expecting, and there's a lot on the government plate to ensure that whatever vendors are doing is secure. That is not an easy job to do, because security is given. Security from a vendor point of view, it's very difficult to monetize security. Because it is assumed that it's going to be there, and it can't really, it's difficult to put a price on it. So if I give you a phone and say, okay, here's a phone that is not so secure, but costs maybe like $20, and here's a phone that is very secure, but costs $50, which one would you get? And the consumer will say, okay, I want the cheaper phone, but with the security functions of the expensive phone. And monetizing on security from a consumer point of view, it is not an easy thing to do. And that is where the government is providing guidance. For example, California, they already have an act for minimum security standards of IoT devices that is set to be implemented in 2021. And I really see the government and the regulators stepping into this level, because vendors would look after profits unless there is a direct guidelines from the regulators and from the authorities to follow certain security guidelines. Shortcuts would be taken. And if we want to protect the consumers, strong, clear, and effective legislations needs to be in place, like GDPR, for example. Again, that is a good example.
Natalie, could you tell us a little bit about how the UK government built incubators to grow cybersecurity talent and partner with leading businesses?
Sure. I mean, I think all governments are on a journey, so I don't at all want to suggest we've perfected this. We're always trying to learn, but I think one lesson we learn early is that we can't do this by ourselves. Ultimately, a lot of the infrastructure that you really care about as a government is actually owned by the private sector. So you need to work with them hand in hand from the very beginning. And so what we've tried to do is support a number of incubators and accelerators to develop those cybersecurity companies that can help us achieve that outcome. in particular Tech Nation, which is an organization that promotes the tech community in the UK, but also around the world, and soon will be here with us in Asia Pacific, including working in Indonesia. And what they have done is developed a program that really focuses on developing the best of the best cybersecurity companies to work with not just UK government, but businesses and governments around the world. And I think having those tailored programs is really, really important when you're trying to plug a gap in the marketplace. And you're seeing lots of similar programs now around the world.
Fantastic. And I just have a final question for all of our speakers. What is the biggest change that you'd like to make today? If we could start with you, Pak Setyaji.
Yeah, of course, to improve our governance and public services using the affordable, effective, and efficient technology. And we also will work with some parties, stakeholders, to make like a pentahelix governance by increasing cooperation between our institution and others like GovInsiders, of course. And the last, increasing our digital accessibility. You know, we have more than 5,000 villages. They have some weakness for infrastructures, so we need to improving their people using the technology and to increasing their quality of life. That's it.
Pak Anton, would you like to add on to that?
The first one is our focus is to build cybersecurity culture. And the second one important factor in cybersecurity is technological aspect. So the government, as we know, is very difficult to pursuing technological development. So we need cooperation with the industry in the field of cybersecurity is needed because the industry has more ability to develop and apply the new technology. From the government side, we need technology that easy to implement and ineffective to operate. So the collaboration with all the stakeholders, especially with the industry, is very important. Thank you.
Glad.
I have two better collaboration between public and private sector. And increase the cybersecurity culture and user education.
Natalie, yeah.
Yeah, I just have one, which I think is education across the board. The challenge with cybersecurity is that it needs to involve absolutely everyone. So whether that's the person walking down the street, CEO of a big company, or a minister in a government. And at the moment, we probably don't equip everyone as well as we could do with understanding the risks and issues and how they can protect themselves and their organizations and their communities. So there's still a lot of work that we can do around the world to help that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for a very interesting session. Thank you to all our speakers. Thank you to all of our attendees for listening. Thank you to our partners at Gigamon. And to Pak Setyaji and his team at West Java, of course, for helping us make this happen today. Thank you, Natalie, for joining us. Thank you so much, Pak Anton. Have a good afternoon, everyone.